Internet. It's Thursday, and I thought I'm going to do a quick Lightroom tutorial here based on one of the questions received in episode, I think it was episode 10 of our wildlife photography Q&A series. Ryan had a question regarding contrast to images. Now, before we carry on, contrast, as we know, is the difference between the blacks and the whites, or the darks and the highlight areas within an image. If you increase contrast, the darks get darker and the lights get lighter, creating a bigger tonal range, yeah? More punch, if you will. We'll discuss that now. Or if you decrease it, the lights get darker and the darks get lighter, meaning less of a tonal range and more of a washed out image. Now, in Ryan's email, he asked, I'd love to get your take on enhancing contrast to images in Lightroom, like the one I took of this male cheetah. I'll show it to you guys now. Basically, what you'd like to try to achieve with shadows and brushes, especially when you might want to tell the story of the light hitting one side of the animal, or if you think not. Now, I'll put a link below this for to go and check my answer in the Q&A series. But for now, I thought let's look at Lightroom and just discuss and look through this a little bit. Now, this is the original raw file that Ryan sent through. Nice, nothing wrong with it. Remember, raw file, there's all the information, is still waiting to be processed by us. This here is Ryan's final version, which, like I said in yesterday's video, is pretty cool. There's nothing wrong with this. Can it be improved? I think any image can be improved just by kind of tweaking and touching a little. So let's have a look at this. Now, as we said, contrast is the contrast slider over here. If I increase contrast, which in Lightroom means taking my slider over to the right, it's going to make the darks darker and the lights lighter. Yeah, that is not cool. I'm sure you can see this. Again, look at Facebook. People do this because they think it's more punch. Don't go there. A little bit of contrast can help. That, no. So there's a bigger difference in this image now between the light and the darks, whereas if I drop my contrast, take the slider to the left, you can see it looks flat and washed out. Again, it looks unnatural. Now for wildlife photography, we don't go, we want natural. So just a quick one here. Another way, let me just duplicate this for you quickly. Another way, so if I take this image here into develop and I push my contrast all the way up, I get this. If I take my virtual copy into develop and I do the same thing, I drop my blacks, I push my highlights up, I get, if I put those two next to each other, a very similar thing. Yeah, I can go and tweak the one on the right by taking my blacks and whites either up or down, but that's basically what you're doing. You're increasing blacks and you increasing whites, which puts the tonal ranges further apart. But we're going to worry about this one for now. Let's reset. So how I would approach this, Ryan, is I would take my blacks, first of all, hold Alt, grab black. If I've got speckles down there, it means that I have got black. I keep holding the Alt key in, I grab white, and I take it up until I start seeing some color coming through. There we go. Which now means those areas that you see there, when I release the Alt key, so pure white happens here, and black, pure black happens down in these areas here. Has that made a difference already? It has. You can see it's punched it a little bit. There's already a difference. Now I would take, but now please guys be careful. The shadow slider will not affect my pure black areas. It'll affect the darker areas of the image, such as the area here on the side of this cheetah. Now if I take that up all the way, unnatural, because shadows define, you need that, yes? It creates depth. So if I bring that back from 0, just a little bit up, okay, that to me is still looking natural, yeah? Now, to jump to brushes very quickly, what I would do, I mean, we're not doing saturation and stuff like that now, but what I would do from a brush point of view, Ryan, since you asked here, is I would make sure I've got everything. I'll use two brushes. The first one I'm going to put on the cheetah and on the logs, and the other one on the background. So, I'm going to just close my brush in a bit. I'm going to use an overlayer normally, but for you just to see where I'm painting. So I want my flow down there. If you guys want to know flow and density, check out the other videos on the page. So I would just do the dark there a bit. I would do that. Because now remember, they're all in the same area. We want them to look more or less the same. You don't want to have people look at your image and say, oh, you painted the cheetah. Bad, it's a fail. Take the overlay away. Now from here, I'll lift the shadows very slightly. Maybe touch on exposure because just to show you, that's what we're working with, those areas. And then I would go for a natural look. That's kind of there. Clarity, I like to punch up because it defines it for me. But when you increase clarity, you're going to have to check your shadows because it makes it darker as well. So if I turn my brush on and off, that's what I've done. Still natural, but I've got some detail in there. Let me just drop that back a bit. It doesn't feel right. Now I'm going to create a new brush, reset all my effects, and I'm going to put my new brush on the background area, so the green behind. We're just doing this rough and crude now, yeah? So you guys can see what we're looking at. Make sure I'm not painting this cheetah. Erase. You create an eraser on the brush by holding Alt, yeah? Okay, take that away. And then I would maybe drop this down a bit. I can maybe do some saturation on there. Okay, so this again is too light, but you want natural, yes? So from a brush point of view, that's what I've done. To help me define, you mentioned you want to play with the light. That's how I would play with the light, yeah? So if I go back to the beginning, that would be my original raw file. Put them next to each other, and that's what I have. So I've got a very small little bit of punch there, but it looks natural. So Ryan, for me, that is the shot I would go with. Small little thing, what I would want to do in this image, I would want to maybe just crop this down a little bit, lose some of the top, tighten it up there. This little white piece bugs me a little bit, so I'm going to lose that. That for me works as a nice crop. I like the energy that flows from the top right and then down as the cheetah is looking. So, Ryan, yeah, there you go. That's contrast in a nutshell, specifically on this image. But remember, guys, don't overdo, don't underdo. Find that in-between happy space where it looks natural. Ryan, I hope that helped a bit. If you have more questions, send them through, and let's chat from there. My name is Gerry. I'm from Wild Eye. I will see you next time.